to order. The Thursday, are we on recording?
Yes, we are.
Okay. This is the Thursday, June 18th at 5 o'clock Arts Commission meeting. And we will begin the meeting with the roll call. Please, Joe.
Commissioner Harmon?
Here.
Commissioner Golden?
Here.
Commissioner Zaringer?
Here.
Commissioner Gerber?
Here.
Commissioner Chisholm?
Present.
Chair Tosher?
Here. The next, we're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance, and guess what I have?
There you go. Great.
So, Christine, will you do the honors?
No.
No?
No.
Any particular, Linda.
I did it last time. I can do it again. Okay.
Sammy.
I'll do it. Okay.
Okay.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And to the
republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God,
indivisible,
liberty.
liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Do we, the next item are public comments. Joe, did we receive any public comments?
We did not.
Okay, moving along. What I'm going to ask everyone to do is put yourself on mute. And then if you have a question or a comment, raise your hand. I'll call on you, and then you can unmute yourself, and we'll take it from there.
How do I put you in?
So at the very bottom, there's a strip that runs across the bottom, and there's a microphone that says mute. If you click on that, unmute, hit it again. Did you find the mute button, Linda?
She's not, Linda's on mute. Can't hear.
You're on mute, Linda.
I'm not on mute because I have my hand up.
And I can hear you. Okay, I see you. Okay, okay, Linda, unmute yourself so we can see that you know that it works for you. Okay, now say something. Linda.
Say something?
Yeah.
I'm saying
okay,
something.
Works. Okay.
Okay.
Did you have a comment?
I have two corrections. Yes, I have two corrections for the minutes.
Okay. Well, let me get to that on the agenda first.
Okay. I thought we were
the
doing
consent items, and we need to approve the minutes for the May 21 meeting.
Madam Chair, point of order. Madam Chair, I have my hand up.
Yeah, Christine.
Yeah. Do you want to do the agenda changes after the minutes or before?
After the minutes.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, after the agenda changes.
Oh, so I should do those now?
We'll do the minutes first.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anyone have a comment about the minutes? Linda.
No, but Sammy can't hear.
Yes. The first one is on the on page 2 of 5, where it says, it doesn't say past perfect. I can't remember what it says because I don't have the minutes in front
but it's
of me.
supposed to be, yeah, it said East perfect. It's supposed to be past perfect, right?
Perfect, right? Yeah. And then the other one is the other correction is under E, and they misspelled Deborah Lyon's name. It is Lyon.
I got those too. Yeah. Those were the same corrections.
That's it.
Yeah, that's all I found too. Christine found more, I'm sure. Unmute yourself.
Sammy still cannot hear.
Okay, here I am. All right, so on page 2 of 5, it's Richard Rackus, and it's spelled Rackus. It's written as Ruku. Did you get that, Joe? Okay. And then on page 3 of 5, under K, where it says Paint Box Project,
it should read something to the effect of Commissioner Golden shared an update regarding that the current pandemic would not prohibit launching the project, rather than we're launching it because of the pandemic, because that's what it says now. That we're launching the project because of we're launching it in spite of the pandemic.
Right,
So
right.
that's A. And then on that same page down at the bottom, under L, that's a correction on the action item. It should be motion to add the language modifying Article 2 of the public art ordinance that would require any public art project, you have to turn the page, that happens to be a mural to have to comply, and this is important, with certain sections of the mural ordinance. They do not have to comply with the entire ordinance, just with certain sections which are delineated in Article 2. So we don't have to name them here, but those are really critical changes for future.
Okay, does anyone else have a comment or change? Okay, let's talk about the agenda before we proceed into our agenda and action items. Christine?
Yes, I would like to strike the agenda item O as it's, the agenda item I, because that is the same agenda item as O. And I would like to request that item O be moved to the front of the agenda because it involves our guests.
Okay. Anyone else? All right. I need a motion then to adopt those changes to the agenda. Does anyone want to make it a motion that we
So
accept?
move.
Okay, second?
I'll second.
Okay, Nigel, second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, it passes.
Aye.
Reorder the agenda. I'm going to put one thing ahead of that item though, and that is that I would like to introduce our newest commissioner, Robin Gerber. Robin, welcome.
Hi, do we approve the minutes? I'm sorry. Do you
Did
normally?
we approve them?
Yes.
Do you normally?
You know what? We needed a motion to approve the minutes. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay. Anyone want to make that motion?
I move.
I move that we approve the minutes of the
Okay.
last meeting
Corrected. Please add as
with the
corrected.
corrections.
Okay.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
I think technically I have to abstain because I wasn't here. Joe just.
All right. The motion passes anyway. All right. So anyway, welcoming Robin Gerber.
Thank you.
Robin, do you want to take just like a minute or less and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself? So
Well, I've
go ahead.
I know a few of you. I've been in Ojai for about 11 years full time. I moved from the East Coast, from Washington, D.C. I am a writer and a playwright and a book author mainly, and love the arts and know lots of artists in town, and I'm happy to be working with you all. So thanks.
Thank you. Okay.
Welcome.
That's fantastic. All right. So I'm going to turn the meeting over to Christine to handle our Kappa agenda items.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Marcy, and welcome, Robin. All right. The first committee to approve public art report that we are going to ask the Arts Commission to consider. It is 100% unanimously recommended to the Arts Commission, and this is a project for what will be a Shell gas station located at 616 East Ojai Avenue, and it qualified for public art, and their art 2% totals $12,500, and they have a fabulous proposal. Cindy Frings, who is the art consultant for this project, we're always happy to see Cindy, will be able to answer any questions that anyone has. And I'm just going to tell you a little bit about what is a 3-panel mural. And it is going to be done by an artist by the name of Bernard Collin. And Bernard Collin is a metal worker, and he has several pieces in different parts of the country and as well as in Los Angeles. And his medium is metal work. And Joe, could you put up a picture of what is going to be titled The Chief? Here it comes. And there you have it. And you can ask all kinds of questions about the metal and the finish and how it's going to be bolted to the wall. The second picture that Joe is putting up, you'll see there's an ATM sign to the immediate left as you're looking at it, and that is going to be removed. It's actually an illegal sign, so it's going to come down. And then the mural will be slid over so that it is positioned farther away from that electrical box. Kappa is not asking, because of the cost, for the electrical box to be removed. But we feel that when the sign is down and the mural is slid over, that you won't really see that box like you see it now. And having said that, I would ask Joe to go back to the gallery view, please. Joe, can you go back to gallery view? There you go. All right, so what I'm going to ask is that if you have a question, you can raise your hand and you can direct that question to any member of Kappa, and that would be, in this case, Nigel Chisholm, myself, Marcy, and of course, Cindy Frings, who is the art consultant. So if you have a question, raise your hand and then say who you're directing the question to. So I see Linda. Linda, will you unmute yourself?
Yeah. Yes. I guess I could ask Cindy, I'm assuming this stands away from the wall. Is it on supports? The metal piece?
Cindy, you have to unmute yourself.
I
We can't hear what you're saying. Cindy, unmute yourself and start over. There you go.
I was just carrying on like crazy there. So, yeah, it's off the wall by about an inch and a quarter. So what you get is the shadow effect behind it, which isn't shown in that picture because we couldn't do that. But yes.
Okay. Thank you. That was it.
Sammy, would you like to unmute yourself?
Sure. This is a question for anybody in Kappa who the artist Bernard Collin. He's a Frenchman. Does he live locally? Or I mean, and I understand that he doesn't have to live locally to do this, but does he have?
He lives in Ventura.
He lives in Ventura. Okay, great. It's a lovely piece. I really like it.
Thank you.
And there is no requirement that an artist live locally.
Sure.
Okay, Nigel.
Yeah, I just was curious. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Anything else,
All
Sammy?
Just one more thing. It sort of looks. I mean, how weatherproof is this going to be? You know, because it looks like some of the joins of the metal are quite thin. So I'm
Great
just wondering about erosion and that sort of thing.
Cindy, you want to talk about that?
Sure. It's actually made out of 3/16-inch iron. So it's thick.
Okay. It's thick.
Treated with it's treated with 3 coats of lacquer that have bronze particles in it. That is something that he has developed that requires no outdoor maintenance. I have a piece of his that's been outside of my house for 12 years, and it looks exactly like it did when I got it.
That's great. That's good to know. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's a great question, Sammy. Thank you. Nigel, you had your hand up.
I did. I have two questions actually about this. The first one is that area where that Shell station is. There's hooliganism that goes on around that area. So I think you said it was about 1.5 inches off the wall. Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering how secure that is to the wall, because I can see somebody trying to pull that damn thing off when the lights are off. So we need to make sure that it's really secure into that wall. And I know for a fact that the cameras on the outside of the Shell station are rubbish, for reasons I can tell you all offline.
What have you been doing over there, Nigel?
Huh? Well, My wallet was stolen, actually.
Okay, we'll let Cindy answer that too.
So, and part two of the question before we go to Cindy is, was there any consideration to painting that electric box in a similar style?
Cindy?
If you look on the proposal, there's a section where it discusses that it's bolted into the wall with butterfly bolts, and then anti-theft hardware is used. He's done a bunch of outdoor installations using that specific hardware to prevent theft. I mean, and as I said, if somebody is determined to get it, they will take it off the wall if they have enough time. But this hardware is designed specifically for outdoor use to prevent theft. So.
All right. How about, was there any consideration given to, I know it's going to be moved to the right of that electrical box, so it may not even be possible. But we've got this paint box project going on, Christine, right? So I'm wondering if we could somehow enhance that electrical box to.
No, that's interesting, Nigel. I will look into that. I think that that would be an interesting thing to explore. What a great idea. Thank you.
But if we do, it would need to go through the same artist, right, to match. And
possibly not. I think that would be something, and I'm just talking off the top of my head here. We got to chew on this because you threw something kind of chewable out here. I would think that first we need to see this installed and what it looks like and how it relates to that box before we would make a decision to do anything. And then I don't know if that artist does painting of utility boxes, and
he's not a painter.
Going like that.
Iron.
But we can look at it, I think, once it's installed. And I'm going to turn it over to Marcy now. Marcy, unmute yourself. Chair Tosher.
I just had a comment about that, a question. The expense for doing something like that, I don't think we would have to, the city or someone else would have to bear the expense of doing that, and not the developer.
Oh no!
Unless they agreed to do it.
Can I interrupt here and just say what I heard Nigel say was that it would become one of the paint box project boxes. So it would be.
Oh, is that what you meant, Nigel?
That is indeed what I meant.
Yeah. So the Public Art Committee is going to take that under advisement and really appreciates your creative thinking. That's thinking out of the box.
Out of the electrical box.
Yeah.
Linda Harmon.
I'm just hearing what you're saying. To me, I think it would be distracting to the public art to have that compete with it. It would be really difficult to get it to complement it. That's just my personal opinion. And if that ATM sign is going to be out of there, I think it needs that white space around it. So that was just
and that's why and that's why I'm saying we need to wait until it's installed and take a look and see what would be the effect of doing that. Or now that the ATM sign is gone, it may be a non-issue. So Linda, I think you're 100% right on that. Okay. We will not move forward with haste. Any other questions for Cindy or anyone on this project? I can tell you that CAPA is very excited to present this to you with a recommendation for approval. We think it's going to really, really be something special to have down there. I think it's going to be around the corner from you, Linda, and really visible from both Ojai Avenue and from Drown. So with that, if someone would like to make a motion to approve the project, unmute yourself and move.
Can I make a comment?
Sure.
I just want to say I think it is a beautiful project, and it's more than overdue for this end of town to have something. And like Nigel said, there has been a problem, but I think as we integrate that section into downtown, which is happening already with the blinker crossing pedestrian way, and there's new places that have opened up in between, I think it'll be more cohesive. And I think it's a gorgeous project. Thank you. That was it. And I can make the motion if I'm unmuted. I move that we approve the project as stated.
Linda has moved. Do we have a second?
Does that work?
I'll second, and it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. So well done.
seconded by Nigel and or Sammy. Will you do a roll call vote, please, Joe? Everyone has to unmute for the roll call.
Commissioner Harmon,
Yes.
Commissioner Golden,
Yes.
Commissioner Zaringer,
Yes.
Commissioner Chisholm,
Approve.
Commissioner Gerber,
Yes.
Chair Tosher.
Yes.
Did I miss anybody? I don't think so.
Motion passes, which is wonderful. Thank you, everybody. And of course, we'll be inspecting it once it's installed, and then there'll be some sort of to-do so that we can all go take a look at it. All right, so now I'm going to move right ahead, if it's okay with Chair Tosher, with the report. Should I go ahead
Hi,
with that?
Cindy. Thank you, Allison. You guys are good
Thank
to
you,
go.
Cindy. Thank you, Allison. Bye.
Thank
Yes,
you.
thumbs up, Allison.
Yes.
And this
We'll be
was
happy.
Allison's first ever interaction with the public art project, and she had emailed me so sweetly and said it was wonderful. So thank you for that, Allison. Much appreciated and great to meet you. Okay, bye. Bye, you guys. While they're leaving, I'm going to get my packet for the next project so that I know what I'm talking about. That one goes over here.
If I can just point out, I did just try calling the applicant and there was no answer, so there might be something going on.
Thank you. That's okay. We can move on without them. I think that the Kappa members can handle questions, those questions that were just asked. Any one of us on the Kappa could have answered that for Cindy. I always like it to be the art consultant, though. Okay. So this is the second committee to approve public art meeting that we had. And the Arts Commission approved the Capri project back in June, a year ago really, of 2019. And after that, one of the three artists, and I will just remind everybody, there were three artists that were approved. And one of those three artists, by the name of Fanny Penny, was doing tile work for the project. And once she got a little more involved in understanding what it was that she was doing, she realized that the scope of the work was out of her ability, and that the tile would not remain structurally sound and viable over any extended period of time. She couldn't guarantee that. And so the developer, Kenny, and Jonathan, who is working with Kenny, talked to another artist by the name of Lucky Remington. And that's what you're considering. You're considering a modification to the previously approved project for Capri. And that modification is to replace Fanny Penny's proposal for tile work with a proposal by Lucky Remington. And I'm going to ask Joe to put up a picture of what it is Lucky is proposing. I flip here to find it myself. Okay, so Joe, you can feel free to scroll through some of these color photos. What Lucky Remington calls these, if you go back to that one you just went by, yeah, I don't know if you can zoom in on that a little clearer, but this is something that is an installation of Lucky Remington's. This is fabulous. Thank you, Joe. They're called ladders, and this one is at the West Coast Craft Club in San Francisco. So he has installed these rectangular boxes, which he calls ladders, in many other locations around California. I don't know if it's in other parts of the country, but around California. All right, let's go to the next one. He is proposing, this is another location, there it goes. This one is Joshua Tree, which I think looks really fabulous there. And now here we have a series. All right, let's go up a little. up. Well, we can kind of scroll fast through the site plan and the dimensions unless someone asks a question about that later. I want to get to the color swabs. Okay, here we go. So these are the colors that are being proposed for the Capri, which, as I think most of you might remember that were here, is a 50s retro kind of look. And they did give us a site plan, and they have gone from 10 of these ladders to 7, and everyone on Kappa agreed that 7 was a more aesthetic number, that 10 would have been overkill. The boxes are placed all around. One is by the pool, one is along a pathway. One of them at least, I think actually 2, are planters that will eventually also have greenery in them. The finish on them, as the Kappa had insisted, is absolutely graffiti resistant. It will be coated with the city's graffiti graded coat that was agreed to. The paint itself is water repellent and the kind of paint that will last a long time. And at our request, because we've met more than once with Capri on this project, at our request, the pieces are going to be bolted into poured concrete so they can't be carried away. So that was taken into account. So we have a maintenance plan. We have vandal security. They're going to be lit. They'll be lit, I think, from the bottom up, but Marcy has a better memory on that, and she can clarify that if she would when you have questions. Maybe scroll up a little more, Joe, and see if there's anything else there we want to show before we, there's the dimensions. And then after that is, okay, here you see the kind of bolts and the different hardware that are being used that will, you never can totally prevent. You know, we have to remember what happened to Early Bird Shopper. Everyone thought that she was on that perch and she got, you know, what's that tool? Off of there and taken up to Shelf Road. So anything can happen. That's just public art. But hopefully with the cautions up front that these artists, both of them, the one before this too, are incorporating into their proposal, there's less of a chance of that. And also they told us that every day, at the beginning of the day, there will be someone who works at the Capri whose job it will be to polish off these ladders, spider webs, anything that happens. They will be maintained on a daily basis. I thought that was really good to hear. Joe, are there more slides there? Yeah, that kind of shows you a little bit of the installation. More pictures of the, okay, we're back. All right, with that, if we can go back to gallery view, we'll take questions. And anyone can answer these. Nigel was the substitute for this particular Kappa meeting because there was a perception of a conflict of interest with Robin. And the city is very cautious about that. So Nigel sat in. So you could ask questions of Nigel, Marcy, or myself. And Sammy, go for it.
In the pictures there, the finish on it looks quite matte, but the graffiti protection that the city adds on, if you're saying that they polish it off every day, so I'm thinking it's more of a gloss finish, and I'm just wondering if the artist knows that it'll be treated in such a way, and if he approves of it.
Yeah. So yeah. All right, so Sammy, I can answer that one for you. We went through this significantly, actually, simply because one of the pieces is kind of a cream color at the bottom of it. And so we wanted to ensure that there were enough layers of paint, enough protection for the paint, and also in addition to the anti-graffiti, that it wasn't going to be damaged with constant cleaning. In addition, these ones that are on the ground are not actually going to be sitting on the ground. They'll be on a plastic ring, which is about a ½ inch high, I believe. Christine may know exactly how high that is, and secured to the ground and the plastic ring. So they won't have any, growing up in England and Scotland, there was damp going up through the walls half the time. So that's not going to happen to these. They're also made out of hardwood. which is particularly resistant to these types of issues. So there are quite a lot of paint layers on there in addition to the protective coating. So we don't anticipate at this time that there's going to be any issue, but we did receive assurances from the Capri, Kenny, that if there was any damage whatsoever, it would be taken care of immediately.
So the artist has approved the final look with the protective coating.
As I understand, Christine would be able to kick in on that, but as I understand it, everything is approved by the artist himself.
Yes. Everything is not just approved by the artist, but the artist himself will be putting on that anti-graffiti coating.
Oh, right. Okay.
Okay.
Good. Yeah.
All right. I see Linda Harmon. If you're done, Sammy, okay?
Sure.
Okay.
I'll unmute. Yeah.
Right. You can remute, and Linda?
I would think if they've had those in Joshua Tree, was that it would withstand heat and all that, that's been tested, I would think, with climate. Yes?
It looked like it's in good shape, what we saw in that picture. So, that's out in the wild, sort of.
That's what I was wondering, I'm assuming.
Yeah. Anything else, Linda? No? Okay, Marcy.
Yeah, in response to Linda's comment, the material is marine plywood. So that holds up to a multitude of weather conditions.
Okay, anyone else have their hand up here? I don't want to miss anybody.
That adds, I have another question. Then, if it isn't solid hardwood, then it's plywood. I was confused.
Marine grade.
Marine plywood, yeah.
Okay, so it's not solid wood, it's plywood.
I believe it's hardwood, Marcy, but it might be marine grade.
No, it said plywood. Pretty sure.
Okay.
All right, well, we'll check on that. But I thought, Nigel, you know the answer to that, right?
I do. It is plywood. I just said, when I said hardwood, it was just a general descriptor for what it is. Plywood is actually very hard.
Half an inch. Half an inch.
It is, and there was a confusion as to whether it was 3/4 inch or a 1/2 inch, as I recall. And initially they said 3/4 inch. Turns out it's 1/2 inch, because what we were concerned about was that somebody could stick a hammer through it, and you'd have to have a mighty hammer to get through 1/2 inch plywood in one shot, to be quite honest with you. So they're not. Linda, these things are really, really big, and so they're not solid. You would need something very large to move them if they were solid. But they are hollowed, but they are quite thick. Probably not as thick as I would like to see them to. I'll probably prefer 3/4 inch, but 1/2 inches.
Linda?
Is one of them a bench? Is one of them a bench?
One of them is a bench.
I thought in the materials
One of them is a bench.
And okay, so they're going to be able to be set on intentionally. Yes?
I believe that 2 of them are actually benches.
2 benches.
Or can be used as benches. That's not their primary function. Their primary function is art, but they can actually be sat
Yeah,
on.
I know.
You see,
Yeah, I just wanted
you see this one
sturdy
here?
enough for that. So
That would be
I think
the
so. I'm
horizontal.
sure they are.
A little higher, Marcy, with that and closer. All right, that's good.
This would be
I thought that was
considered.
a planter.
No, those aren't planters.
I don't believe any of them are planters. I think some of them are going to be put in planters. That was my understanding of what was going on. Linda, it's a really, really good point that you bring up, and I'm shocked at myself for not even thinking about it, to be quite honest with you, because I absolutely did not ask if they're constructed appropriately for somebody to be sitting on them or jumping up and down on them. And I absolutely should have done that. And I don't know that anybody else actually asked about the construction of the ones where people can clamber on and sit down. Christine, have you got anything to add to that?
Can we go back to, can we get rid of the screenshot, Joe? Thank you for putting that up, though. That was great. You know, I have to say, it went over my head that anybody was going to sit on any of them, because that would have triggered a question from me. And I think that's a great follow-up that we can find out about that. I don't think we have to delay this project to find out about that, but we can certainly have a conversation with Kenny and say that came up. And we can certainly add a note as to, I would like to ask everybody, do you think, well, what comes to mind for me is the farmhouse welcoming table. We were very specific with the inn that table not be used as a table where people would eat, and, you know, it's a piece of public art. If these are benches that are meant to be sat on, then that's interactive public art, which is fine as long as they can hold up the weight. So I'd like everyone just to share their thoughts on how you want me to proceed with Kenny on this. Just go, whoever's
All right,
got
so I don't think it's anything we need to hold the approval up for. I think we just need to confirm it and get that in writing, that people are going to sit on it and that it is going to be constructed with that in mind.
Okay,
It's
so
not, I can't imagine it wouldn't be.
I can't either. Are you okay then with people sitting on it? You see this as interactive art is okay?
Yeah, I love interactive art.
It says,
Okay, next comment from Linda.
I thought it was a bench when I was reading it. I thought they were going to be benches. And my one question was, if it's plywood, would it be supportive enough? Did they put braces in it, or that would be my only concern. I think they're beautiful, and I think it'll be really interesting. And I love the idea of people being able to sit on it.
Okay, fabulous. Does anyone object to this, people sitting on it? No. Okay, so I will proceed with Kenny and make sure that we know that it can hold the weight of a 200-pound man. Nigel.
Yeah, it's a hotel. There's going to be children around too.
Yeah.
So I'm concerned about our liability of authorizing something where we don't have something in writing that it says it's going to be constructed properly. So there's going to be kids. Now, plywood in particular, it's made up of multi-strands of wood, as we all know. And when they start to go, it puts more stress on the strand underneath, the layer underneath. And so you could have a situation where it's kind of cracked, but you don't know about it. And then suddenly you've got a little 3-year-old kid clambering up on it and it goes straight through. Yeah. And so I think we do need that assurance that it is made, and maybe even a diagram of how it's going to be constructed, Christine.
Well, a brace bar, I think.
Well, there's a specific requirement. Yeah, there's requirements for how long something is, as to how often you have to have brace bars for these types of things. So the artists will probably know this already, and they're probably already built it into it, I should imagine. What I would like to add on to this, though, is that I'm not aware of any other cubist type of art in town. And so I really love this project. I love the color palette. I love the way it looks. And it would be nice to have some cubist stuff in town. Do we have any other cubist things in town? Right. So
nothing. This is really wonderful that it is something so unique and different. And I think the more these projects happen, the better for our town. And at some point I will talk about how to handle including new projects in the virtual public art tour and in the brochure, right, so that when we get back to doing docent-led tours, people will actually become aware of these new pieces. It is very exciting.
Right.
Yeah. Would anyone, there's Sammy, go ahead.
Sorry. It's just a comment, really. I really like the colors. I love the colors, and it's definitely my preference in this whole public art thing. When developers are adding to it, it's definitely my preference that they have a say in what goes on their property rather than just donating the money. I think it's just better all around. Then they have more of a stake in the town, and that's just my preference. Just a general comment. I just much prefer it than getting the dough, right? Much prefer that.
It's a wonderful comment that you're making, and it really shows the power of the way the ordinance is written, because that is how the ordinance is written, is that the developer, and we are changing it so that an art consultant is required, because we found out that there's a lot of problems when we don't have an art consultant. And the art consultant works with the developer to find something that will be a fit and a match for the property. And this is a case where they really did that, because the whole redo of the Capri is to go 50s retro. So all three artists and all three public art pieces fit this theme. And that's what we're looking for. Not something that's just plunked down, but something that,
Yeah.
what you said, Sammy. Yeah.
I like
Any other comments from anybody? Nigel?
Just very quickly, I think Sammy's point is really, really well taken. And I think it's very easy just to grant the waivers for people. But I think we should look a little bit more closely at that type of thing and try and encourage the people who are requesting them to find art that does fit their place.
And I'm going to comment on that as well, because there's a misunderstanding often that a waiver is an option, and it is not. The way the ordinance is written, a waiver has to be applied for and approved by city council. But to do the art is straightforward, and it doesn't even go to city council. This is the deciding body. CAPA does the review and makes the recommendation, and it's the Arts Commission. So the goal of the art ordinance is to have public art on private development throughout the city. We only take a waiver. It has to meet certain criteria, and that's why I'd like to do a little in-service on this document in August, which we're going to talk about that later. But any other comments before we go for a vote on this? Sammy?
My only comment is just that I appreciate you clarifying that. I just appreciate hearing that again. I mean, it was in my head, but I just appreciate that being, clear in my head again, right here, right now.
Thank you. My pleasure. I'm married to that ordinance, Would someone like to make a motion then?
I'll make the motion. We should accept it as is, with the proviso that we do get a rendering of the structural integrity of the benches.
And I would ask you to use the word modification in that, because it's a modification.
You can request anything you want.
Okay, so Joe, stick the word modification in there where it'll sound good. And a second came from Sammy, I think. Her hand was up. It's a second.
Very happy to second it. Yeah.
Okay. And any discussion further? Seeing no hands, Joe, would you do a roll call? Thank you. Everybody unmute for the roll call.
Commissioner Golden,
Yes.
Commissioner Harmon,
Yes.
Commissioner Zaringer,
Yes.
Commissioner Chisholm,
Approved.
Chair Tosher.
Yes.
So the motion passes. And Joe, I know you're going to be delighted to work.
I guess I should ask Commissioner Gerber, and she should and she
I
will
approve too.
Okay, I'm sorry.
or abstain.
Everybody.
I believe she should. Were you going to just for the?
Yes, all right, I'll abstain. That's fine.
I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Good catch.
Thank you.
So I know, Joe, you're going to be delighted to hear that you and I are going to work with Kenny on getting those benches structurally sound. So we'll be talking. Thank you.
We haven't spoken
everybody.
today. This is our first chance to talk today.
Hi. Thank you. I have relinquished this part of the agenda back to Chair Tusher.
Great. And the next item is the budget. I just wanted to let everyone know that the budget we approved. The budget we approved went before. What's the matter?
Wait. Can I talk? Am I on?
Yes.
We didn't, I don't think we formally accepted the recommendation to appoint Robin and Nigel, did we? That was
I'm going to get to that later in the agenda where it was originally. It's
okay. All right.
Item O. It was the one thing that we didn't pull from item O, so we'll get to it.
Okay.
Well, item O is the public art.
We'll get to it. Let me. I just want to do the budget now.
Yeah. Okay, but
we'll get to it, Linda. We'll get to it. Okay. The budget that we approved was presented to City Council, and they have approved our budget request. So that's good to go. The next thing is I'd like Sammy to talk about the mentor program a little bit. We did get money for the mentor program for next year, which you would start next spring, Sammy.
Next spring. I have been speaking to a bunch of people, and they are still very interested and disappointed it's not going to happen. this summer, but
Mhm.
you know, obviously everybody understands. Also, parents aren't going to be comfortable with this. I've spoken to some parents as well, and so we're just gonna. It's on hold. It's on hold until next spring. So we'll start probably late February, early March on the publicization, and then we do the mentor selection first of all. Then we put it out to schools in April, May, and you know, when they're thinking about what they're going to do for summer. And usually, well, last year that involved school trips and you know, just presentations in the schools, and and I think this year anyway, there were a good number of artists curious about it anyway. They, you know, toe in the water trying to find out. So that's all I got for mentor program.
Okay. One thing, Sammy, if you could reach out to the Ojai Educational Foundation, because I believe they've been contributing $1,250 in the past, to see if they're on board to do that again next spring.
That's right. And I think I need to speak to Michael to know who the contact is there.
His contact, yeah.
Because so they basically sponsor. We do 4, we cover 4, and they sponsor another partnership, and they were really easy and cool to work with before. So
thank you. Joe, you had a comment or a question?
Yes, I just wanted to clarify something, an issue on the budget. The budget has not been adopted. The citywide budget has not been adopted until June 23rd. However, the Arts Commission budget was presented to the council in their draft budget, and they made no comments and no changes to it. That I just wanted to clarify. That doesn't mean to say that on the 23rd something drastic can happen and the council chooses to amend many programs. I'm not trying to scare anybody. I'm just letting you know that it is not a final budget yet.
But it looks good though.
It looks good. It does look good. That's what we presented the Arts Commission budget, and there were no comments about it. So I don't think there's anything to worry about. Nonetheless, I do need to point that out, that it's not an adopted budget yet.
Okay, thank you. Did someone have a comment? No? Okay, moving along. And Linda, I think yours are going to be pretty quick. There's not a lot to update about.
It's very quick.
Arts acquisitions. Linda.
We have none. That's our update.
We have no money.
We have no money, and we're in a pretty good place right now as far as the things we wanted to accomplish. So I think we're good to go right now until we know what's going on with financially.
Thank you. And then City Gallery.
I talked briefly to Joe before the meeting started. City Hall is talking about opening, but it would be a limited opening next week. I did get an email from Wendy at the museum as far as she said that they were getting ready to open, but I still haven't gotten anything that they're opening. So at this point, City Gallery is going to stay the same until we get some firm dates. So we won't be changing the exhibit until we know what's going on with that. Yes, Joe. What?
If I could just comment on City Hall opening, our plan is right now, we're putting together a plan to have a soft opening next week. And in the meantime, it'll be by appointment only. So just keep that in mind in terms of the gallery. People won't be able to just walk in and view the gallery, even the current exhibition or the next exhibition, maybe. I don't know when we will be open at that level, but people will be able to come to City Hall by appointment, and we could probably make some arrangements, but I can work with Commissioner Harmon on that option.
Okay, so you're saying the public could make an appointment to see the art if they wanted to.
Possibly. I hadn't even, honestly, I hadn't even thought about it. I was, when we were talking about reopening City Hall, we were talking about the regular day-to-day customers,
right?
But I'm sure we could include something like that and put that on the Arts Commission website. If someone would like to see the gallery, they should call, well, probably me, to arrange an appointment.
Okay. How about if Marcy and I
Wear a face covering.
we'll talk it over and get together with Wendy at the museum and find out what they're planning to do for people to view the art, and then maybe we can come together with some kind of a program.
Sure.
So right now there's nothing new, but we'll work on it.
Correct.
So that's my report.
Thank you, Linda. Sammy, would you like to talk about the website, and maybe we could briefly discuss what our options might be?
We're like talking about the website, but
I know. I personally, I just want to kick it off with
Sure.
this thought that you have a committee now with Robin, who I think would be great for you two to get together.
Yeah.
And come up with a game plan in terms of if you want to hire someone, what does that look like? If we can talk to Luis and see what that looks like. I have some research that Christine gathered, and I can forward that to you. She kind of
That would
got
be
a little
great.
bit of a head start on research about what
That
some
would-
options might be. Okay, that's all I wanted to say. I'm going to hand it over to you, Sam.
wonderful, and that's it. So with the departure of Andy, there's a gap in our sort of skill set for this, and it's not part of my skill set. I'm quite poor at it. So I'd like, I'm very happy to work with Robin. I'm very happy to take research and discussion and suggestions. Absolutely, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Robin, do you have anything you want to add to Sammy's comments?
And I have a question.
Okay.
Not really. I think Sammy and I we haven't talked about it at all yet. So
Yeah, right.
we get together and formulate a plan, and then we'll let you know.
Yes, perfect. Yeah, just let me know. We'll put it on the next agenda. Christine?
Yeah, I have a question for Sammy and Robin. Would you be so kind as to find out whether or not Luis Gomez here at City Hall is able to post things in the interim, because we're going to have to post the new dates for the paint box project. So
Yes.
we really need to know that he is able to get onto our website, which is WordPress, and put up the applications with the.
Sure.
Robin, what'd you say?
I said that'll be our first stop. Go ahead, Sammy.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. And I should have said that too. I should have said that this is definitely one of the options as well.
So we can find that out and let
In
me
the
know.
interim, as an interim stopgap anyway, just until we get something sorted out. So
And then I happen to be talking to Tara Saylor. She belongs to the Rotary Club I belong to, and she's a web designer and a web manager, and she really knows people in town who are. And I had to talk to her anyway about Rotary stuff. So in the course of that conversation, I wrote down everything she said, and I sent an email to Marcy, and that would give you guys a good ground base. If Marcy,
Not to interrupt you. I know her really well, and I actually worked
there
with
you
her
go.
on water stuff and designed a website together. So great, thanks.
okay.
perfect.
All right.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Yeah.
Marcy?
Nigel?
Yeah, I was going to bring this up later in relation to something else, but now is a perfect time to do it. I think as a matter of course, this commission should be using local products and local services as much as possible. The city as a whole, as a matter of fact, as an aside. And as you're going down this process, I would definitely encourage Sammy and Robin to find local people. I also know Tara really well, as a matter of fact. I've never seen her work on that level, but she does a whole bunch of different things. She's an awesome person. But in this town, I know for a fact that we have a heap of people that can help us on this level. It may not be as cheap as somewhere else, but if you pay for what you get, right? And I think we should keep as much money in town as possible. So that's all I would say to Sammy and Robin. Just, I would encourage you to look at those things as a matter of course.
We're in agreement. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I'll add one thing to what Nigel is saying, which is part of what I think the two of you are going to want to do is to create a job description, because I kind of had to invent that for when I was talking to Tara, like what I thought that person would be doing. So I think that's going to be important.
Good. Also very good call. I'm going to write that. Yeah.
Christine.
Thank you, everyone. And then, Sammy, if you have anything to report about print media, do we have anything that will be coming out in the OVN or anything happening that we should know about?
So the next thing that will come out is the so we just published an article in the various different outlets in town, OSA and the Hub and the paper and social media about the
Virtual tours?
yes, the public art tour. I can't, stupid brain. Yes, public art tour. And the next thing up will be the utility box project and applications for that. And that's coming up in July. It's coming up pretty hard and fast. Also, Gay Jones is going to be, she will receive her award, her Lifetime Achievement Award in July. I think it's going to be July.
It got moved to July, yeah.
So yeah, so I've got publicity sort of half written for that, and I'll do a little blurb and I'll put it in the calendar section, and then after that, I'll just tune into, well, if it's an in-person thing, I'll be there, and I'll cover it and get it, in the paper and things. I'm also thinking that perhaps because it's city business, that maybe the paper, this has been suggested before, that the paper sends a photographer to take a proper photo, because this is, city business. So if they have the resources to do that, I'm not sure they do right now.
Stephen Adams, I think if you can get word to him, he shows up at everything.
He does, but he's not well right now. I know that he's...
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's ill right now. He's undergoing some treatment. So I'm not sure that he's quite as available as he was. The other person is maybe Mark Tovar, goes to a lot of things too, takes a lot of photos. But I can talk to the paper and see what.
Okay.
It would just be a good resource, because it's city business. It's definitely in the interest of the paper to cover it. So without us shelling out for a proper photographer.
And one thing, Sammy, from in my bailiwick is the grants program. So there in the packet is a timeline. So if you could just kind of
definitely
incorporate that into your calendar so we can get some publicity going for the grants.
Yeah, on my list to say. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, that's basically, you said it.
Anyone else? Questions for Sammy? Okay, thank you, Sammy. Nigel, question.
Yes, it's less a question and observation. I've got 2 points. One, Sammy, I want you to scoot down your seat a little bit. Right, that's the first one. Scoot. Yeah, that's better. There you go.
Just like,
no, stop coming to the camera. And Marcy, I want you to go up a little bit. Move your chair up a little bit. There you go. That's better.
It's a genetic thing.
The observation as it. Oh God, no. There you go. Perfect, Sammy. Perfect. Right. The observation as it relates to the subject at hand is this: we have an issue generally, I think, driving people to the website for whatever we're doing. Now, as it turns out, if any of you have been on Facebook and seen any of the videos I put together, they're really quite fun and quite amusing. They're very well done. I'm quite adept at this type of thing. Sammy's smiling because she knows it's true and she doesn't want to admit it. but the truth of that is this. So here's what I think we can do with anybody that commission others for as long as I'm on it and offering to do it. I think I can make a 1 minute video of somebody's achievements. Like Gay, for example, I can bang it together pretty fast in a day or two. That's sewn together very nicely with a bit of music underneath it. And we can put that onto the city website, Joe, if that is possible. We'll have to make sure that the music is not copyrighted, of course. It's a city thing. And so if that's something that the Arts Commission would like to do, I'm happy to do it. I think it would be a nice thing to do as an addendum to the gift that the award that we're giving to them, is to have a little video that goes along with it of their achievements and why we're giving it to them.
That's a lovely idea. Love that.
Great idea.
Yeah, it's a proper celebration. Yeah, we have, yeah.
And perhaps at the presentation, we can show that video, right? Make it more of an event.
I just want to know how Christine I just want to know how Christine did that thumbs up thing.
You've done it. Move back from the camera, Sam.
If you look along the bottom where the mute button is, and just
Reactions,
all the way
okay.
over to the right, and you'll see a little thing that says reactions.
Got it. Sorry, just a point of, yeah, okay, got it.
All right, so
I don't
I'll
have all that.
offer to do that, Sammy. If the commission thinks that that's something appropriate, that's what they want to do. It will take interaction from people who know the awardee and even the awardee themselves with regard to photographs and little clips of video and this, that, and the other. But I'm happy to do it. If the committee thinks that's something they want to do, if we need a formal motion to do it, or if Sammy has the ability to just say, yeah, Nige, get on and do that, then we're good to go. So, Joe, what's the procedure on that?
There's probably not much of a procedure. It would probably be you put it together. I'll run it by the city manager. And we will check it for anything offensive or anything like that anything that could get the city in trouble, and then we can just upload it to the city's Facebook page. I don't see it as being a problem.
All right, so Sammy, I think it's up to you then. If you want me to do that, and Robin,
Sure,
of course,
I
apologize.
We'll be talking about it. Thanks, Nigel. That's a good
Yeah.
offer.
Yeah, yeah.
Natasha, do we need to vote on this or not?
No.
I think we need to vote on this.
Just do it. I like it.
Okay,
Just do
great. Nigel, keep the floor. Stay unmuted because you're up next to talk about the Lifetime Achievement Award.
I'm just happy to get through two of Sammy on F and G, and I'm H, so that's all right. Okay, so here we go. This is the big thing of the night, right? As far as it's concerned to me.
This is a biggie.
We need to figure something out, and I am sad that we're not in the same room together so that we can read each other's feelings a little bit more than this, because it's a big deal to get an award from the city, and that's what this is. And so we have to take it very, very seriously. I've asked you all to have one person that you want to advocate for, and so we will do that. Take as much time as you want, as long as it's not over 3 minutes, and we will start, because Linda's on my screen. We'll go with you, Linda.
Oh, okay. I looked over the list, and there's a lot of people that I think are really good. I actually thought you wanted me to look for it.
Just to let everybody know, it doesn't have to be on the list.
Oh, okay. Rain Perry, I thought of her. I think she's awesome. She's a professional musician and songwriter. She's won awards for her music. She's been in Ojai as long as I can remember. She comes from a musical family. She gives house concerts. She has been active. She's also been active, like in Sea Frog and things like that. But basically, she's just an amazing performer and an amazing community member. So she lives in Upper Ojai, but she is very active in downtown. She does a lot with Kim Maxwell at her place. And is everybody familiar with her music? I don't know if you are or not. Yeah, and she's. Pardon?
I know Rain.
What'd you say, Nigel?
I know Rain. I'm familiar with it.
Okay. So I thought of her immediately. Am I supposed to just pick one name or?
Yeah. this thing, we're not going to go on internally here.
Okay. Rain Perry, I guess, and I put several other on the list, but.
So, Linda, is that your choice? Linda, is that your choice? Okay. All right, so here's what we'll do to avoid communication problems. When you start speaking, raise your hand. When you finish speaking, raise your hand. All right. So that's Rain Perry, if everybody wants to make a note of that. Christine, how about you?
Oh, you unmuted me. Okay. Well, I don't have a person that I've chosen from the list because I didn't get the list. But I do want to point out, because this is something that we've always done in the past, and I'm on this committee with you, and it's something that this committee has always done, is to take a look at the last 10 years and see what fields have been represented. So I did that. And we've had 3 theater people get the award in the last 10 years. 2 artists, one a photographer, one not a photographer. 2 musicians. one who got the award for architecture and one who is a patron of the arts. So I just want to point that out, that the two areas that we don't have as many lifetime achievement people are architecture and patron of the art in the last 10 years. And I think that's something that, at least in the past, we always considered that. We wanted to make sure that we were covering all the different arts with an S on it. That's my only comment. And I'll raise my hand because I'm done.
All right, good. You listen. You're a good listener. Well done. All right, Marcy, how about you? Because you're on the screen there too. Thank you, Christine. And by the way, Christine, before Marcy start, that's really good observation. Thank you very much for that. Marcy, off you go. Perla Batala. Marcy,
You're muted, Marcy.
You need to unmute yourself, darling. Marcy, you're still muted.
Yeah. Okay.
There you go.
Linda,
She was a backup singer for Leonard Cohen for 10 years. She is nationally and internationally known. Her voice is indescribable. She has such an interesting history. She was born in LA, and her father was a Mexican singer and radio personality. Her mother was an Argentinian woman, and they ran a record store in Santa Monica called Discoteca Batala. There's a great article about Perla in this Ojai Valley Guide that came out recently. She's married to Claude Mann of Ojai Roti. She does a lot of charitable things. Most recently, she did this rhythm arts project at the Ojai Vineyard, where in that program addresses disabilities through music and rhythm. She was involved with Thatcher School. I think she had a child who graduated from there who's in college back east. She's lived in Ojai for a while now. I don't know what else to say except that she's very unique. She's one of a kind, and she's a world-class musician, known internationally and nationally. So I don't know if you've ever listened to her, but her voice is indescribable. I nominate Perla.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I know Perla. She's fabulous, and you're right. She's a rock star. She really is in every sense of the term, and not only that, she's a fabulous person as well. Robin, up to you.
Nigel, I didn't get the list or the criteria, so I'm a little bit at sea here.
Okay, so the criteria.
Yes.
You can choose from anybody in your pantheon of knowledge, which is great. I'll give you the list as it went out to everybody else, but I'll read you the criteria right now, if that's okay with you.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So the criteria for the award include, but not exclusively, proven continuous artistic excellence, demonstrated community involvement within the Ojai Valley, established recognition within their field and residency within close proximity of the Ojai Valley. A recipient may be of any age. There's some names that have been considered in the past, which I wasn't on the committee. As you know, I'm relatively new, as you are very new. So it's nice not to be the rookie anymore, by the way. So well done on that. Brett Bradigan, Peter Bellwood, Theodore Gall, Karen Lewis, Pearl Batala has been considered before, Brian Bemmel, Alan Thornhill, River Savager, Roger Calloway, Julie Christian, Smitty West, and Assunta Fleming. And I would just add to this list that when you think of Smitty, you really should be including Julia Zonik in that as well. Mm-hmm. It's what they do together is remarkable. And without Julia, Smitty is not what Smitty is. And without Smitty, Julia isn't what Julia is. Mm-hmm. But those are the lists. Those are the names that were on the list previously. But you are welcome to nominate anybody who fits the criteria.
And Christine, you said the patron of the art, what would that be considered? Someone who's buying?
Well, for example, in the past, we've given the award to Khaled Alawar. The award has been given to Joan Kemper. And there's at least one other whose name does not come to mind for me. But I want to say for Nigel that that list of names is only about half as long as it used to be. I don't know what happened. Candace Delbo used to be on that list. There were many other names on that list that somehow are not there. And if you want, Nigel, I can look for that and email that to you.
Well, again, I mean, it's not necessary, I suppose, to actually choose tonight, is it?
Wondered about that.
We always have an initial discussion, and then it's the next meeting.
Yeah. So I think that's where we're at, isn't it? Right. So
has Barbara Hirsch received the award?
no,
she hasn't, and she would be a good name.
Mm-hmm.
She hasn't received it. Barbara Hirsch.
So let me.
Barbara Hirsch is not received.
Barbara Hirsch, fabulous name to add.
Okay, so let me ask for this. Let's hold right here and give Robin an opportunity to view and to think about this clearly, and then we can revisit it, Joe, with a view to actually making a decision at the next meeting. Does that make sense to everybody? Doesn't make any sense to actually go any further, right?
I think that would make sense. It makes sense to get the list and the selection criteria out to us, please, so I could.
Right. So it was in the
I have
packet.
the list. I'll get it to you. I have it.
Well, perhaps it was already
In the handbook.
in the handbook. Okay.
And I think Joe also sent the list out because Joe's awesome and he does everything. And so if you have a scoot around in your emails from Joe, of which there were probably about 8 of them in the past 3 days, you will probably find that lifetime achievement criteria there, Robin. Joe?
I will make a point of resending it, but I don't think that my list that I have was as long as the one Christine has. So I will talk to Christine before.
That's a big list.
I've
then
got
I'll
a couple things I can bring over there and you can scan. This one, for example, which we've always used with this committee, it goes from 1987 through 2019. We need to add, Guy Jones is on there. And it tells everyone who's already gotten it. So that's like a really good thing to have when we're doing this, so we know who's gotten it. And you can, we used to have the fields listed. I don't know how that got taken off, but it did.
Right. So it occurs to me that, Joe, you should have that anyway.
Yeah.
That one I have. It's the list of potential nominees.
Yeah,
It's the list I did not have.
Well, I think it benefits you to have the list of people who have been awarded it and the people who have been discussed previously.
Yeah.
I can see embarrassing problems cropping up if you don't have both lists.
Nigel, since I'm on your committee, if you would like to dump that on me to work with Joe on getting the correct packet.
Yeah, that'd be awesome because you.
Who's on that committee?
Me. Marcy.
All right. So can you just stick your hand up if you want to speak so that we can see what's going on? Christine.
Yeah.
If you can get that information to Joe.
Sure.
Joe, if you can turn around and flick it over to me so that Christine and I can confirm. And then Christine, you and I, let's talk in the next week or so, and we'll figure out how to go about that. But for now, I think the best plan is to halt right there so Robin has an appropriate amount of time to consider her choice. We've got Linda's, unless she wants to change it in between now and then. And Linda, I think you can if you would like to. And obviously, Marcy, if you would like to consider yours again, then that's fine. And we'll just revisit it. But we need to get this done because time's moving on. So let's make sure that we get everything done and we put aside an appropriate amount of time in order that we can have a conversation and discuss it and decide at the next meeting. Yeah? All in favor?
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Well, can I ask a question? I printed out the work teams by commission, and I'm on your committee, I think, not Christine.
Congratulations.
It says member awards.
You know what, Linda? You and Christine are on that. You're on it too.
Linda, you're on it too.
You're on it too.
We're both.
Nigel,
Okay.
Christine, and Linda.
You want to help, Linda?
Okay. Well, if you have a meeting, sure, we'll Zoom.
Help out.
All right. I would like to point out that I have plenty of wine at my house,
In favor.
and we can have a meeting.
You're here.
Okay.
All right. So Marcy, I am now complete with that for this moment in time.
Thank you, Nigel. Well done. And the next thing we'll talk about are the grants. And I kind of already talked about Sammy. In your packet, you'll see the timeline. So nothing really for anyone to memorize, just for Sammy to make note of. And the applications will be made available to potential grantees in July. And that will kick off the process. So that's all I have to say about that. Then I'm going to turn it over to Christine to talk about our paint box project.
Okay, paint box project. I'm not going to get into a whole lot of nitty gritty on this. I'm just going to give you an overview of what we're looking at as a timeline. So I've talked to Sammy, and third week of July, around that time, we should be ready to publicize the reopening of the project. We'll have the updated materials and the application posted on the website, on the city website, on Facebook, et cetera, the hub. So that's about a month from now. And then September 18th is the date. It's a Friday for the projects to be due. And then Marcy and I'll have time to go over to City Hall and put those in order for the public art jury. The public art jury will meet on October 8th. And then you all will approve at the October Arts Commission meeting what the public art jury presents to you. So the public art jury is a vetting jury that makes, just like CAPA, it's going to make a recommendation to you, the Arts Commission, and you can say no, or you can say yes to any project that they present to you for a particular box. And then the probably end of November will be the date for the projects to be completed. And we'll be working with Public Works on making sure that the area around the boxes has been cleaned up and that the paint, the undercoat has been supplied. The city wants to supply an undercoat that they want the artist to use, the 2 coats, that's what's required. And so that's it. Any questions? Seeing no hands, may I move on, Chair Tosher, to the next item? Chair Tosher, may I move on to the next item?
Please do.
Yes. Item L, move on. Thank you.
All right, so the next item is the asking all of you to consider recommendations for the public art ordinance, and that is in your packet. And they are lengthy, and I don't think, unless someone has a question, I want to go like read every single one of these to you. I'm just going to give you a summary of what that change is about. So the first change to Article 2, and I'm looking at the sheet that was in the packet. The first change to Article 2 is very simple. It has to do with a hole that we found in the ordinance when we have a public art project that we have selected. For example, the paint box project. There is not a developer for that. And so this has already been approved, actually. Article 2 was approved by City Council to change that to give the Arts Commission discretion to pick someone to take the place of the developer. So that was approved a year ago, but the change never happened in the ordinance. The ordinance has never reflected that change. So we're bringing it to their attention again. All right.
Chair Tosha, can I kick in here, Chair Tosha?
Yes.
Yeah, thanks. All right, so it's going to be lengthy to go through these. I have taken the trouble to read everything that was in the packet. I would hope that everybody has taken the trouble to read over everything that's in the packet.
Yep.
And to save Christine some time, I would like to move that we just accept it unless somebody hasn't read the packet. So I would just move to accept it as it is. I've read it, I understand it, I know what the changes are, and I'm very comfortable with the changes. I think they're all good changes, and it's quite impressive actually that Commissioner Golden has gone through the trouble of correcting these errors, because they were errors and they needed to be fixed.
Thank you, Nigel, for being aware of the time. But I think it's really important to at least state what each one is about. So I stated the first one. I really would like to state because you kind of put everybody on the spot asking people if they read. And I
Yes, I did.
Yeah, and I can tell you from things that have been asked and said tonight that not everybody read their packet. So I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do it fast. Okay? All right. So the next one simply corrects that it is the Arts Commission that will, from now on, be responsible to yes or no a waiver request. It used to go to City Council. This is another one. The City Council has asked for this. Any questions about that one? Okay. Article 2, that correction has to do with the limitation clause. And it's really important that we talk about that a little bit, because the way that clause is written now, we have an artist who's in limbo because it goes on forever, the 3 years, because the project has never started. So this cleans up that and gets the artist off the hook. Any questions about that one? Nigel.
Right, so the only question I had about that entire thing was actually on this very point, just to establish, and there may already be one, and I just don't know about it, a list and a timeline of who's applied for what and when, in order that we can just move through that smoothly and not look like complete idiots when we're going through this. So do we have a list of artists and when they apply?
Yes.
That is easily accessible to us?
Yes. And that does have some bearing on this, but the stickler on this is, and I'll give you the example, it's Martha Moran. So she was hired or contracted with Becker to do a project on a development called Cottages Among the Flowers. But that was a good long 3 years ago, going on 4. And they have never pulled a building permit. So she's in limbo because the way the ordinance is currently written, the 3 years starts once the project is finished, which could put her in limbo for who knows how long. This corrects that and takes the artist off the hook on a developer who just doesn't have his or her act together. Okay?
Yeah.
Anybody else on that? Okay. The next one is murals. And that simply is alerting us, really, the Arts Commission and a public art jury, that if a mural is selected as a private development project, for example, the one that's now going to go up on the Shell station, that what is written about the criteria for murals will, from this change forward, apply to those private development projects as well. We couldn't do that with this particular mural. I mean, we could throw in those, but we want to make it a requirement that they adhere to the mural list of what's acceptable. And then the next page, the next one is controversial. And what it does is it's requiring that private developers use an art consultant, and it notes that the fee for the art consultant is appropriately taken from the 2% for the arts, so it costs the developer no more money. And the reason we are asking for that is because, as Joe will tell you, there was no art consultant for Capri, and it ruled his world and mine for weeks because he became the art consultant, and we just can't do that to city staff. So we want to require that developers use an art consultant. Nigel.
Yeah, I think this is not controversial at all. It doesn't cost the developer anything.
That's right.
And it's a very smart move to make sure that we're moving forward in the direction that we talked about an hour ago, about encouraging the people who are making these changes to include the piece of art that is relevant to their environment and to include them in the process. I think it's not controversial. I think it's very smart. And I think it's a no-brainer, quite frankly.
Right. And thank you, Nigel. And the next section slightly alters the approval procedures for projects such as we heard at the beginning of the meeting, so that as soon as CAPA unanimously approves a project, which means there are no contingencies, there's nothing strange going on, because if there were, we wouldn't approve it, they can go ahead and get their building permit. This will allow Joe and the city to schedule CAPA meetings when they come up. But right now, we're always like running like heck to figure out how to do this before an Arts Commission meeting, because right now the the building permit doesn't come until you guys approve it. This will change that. They can get their building permit, which sometimes they're waiting, and it's thousands of dollars a day that they're waiting for the Arts Commission to meet. So it's just going to make it better for developers, and it won't change anything. The history is the Arts Commission has never not approved what's been recommended by CAPA. So that's why we're doing that one. And those are the, that's going to go to City Council along with, may I go to the next one, Marcy?
Yes.
Along with, thanks to Joe and a lot of rewrites, the mural ordinance, which will become Article 3 of the Public Art Ordinance. And I am not going to walk through that one. If you're interested in seeing this because you saw it initially, it has now gone through the legal spiegel and will go along with these ordinance changes as a package to City Council. We're looking at the first meeting in July. We need this to get done and approved by City Council. And to do that, we need to tell them that you approved these going forward to City Council. So that would be the motion. And I don't know, Joe, do you want to separate it out into two motions, one for each, or how do you want to do that?
Separating them would be appropriate.
Okay, thank you.
By item number, we have item number 5.
L.
M. No, I believe the changes were 5M and 5N.
Yes. So let's do 5L. Would someone like to move to accept 5L, which is the changes that I just went over to the Public Art Ordinance?
I so move.
Okay, Linda has moved. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay.
I'm sorry, who seconded?
That was Sammy
Robin.
Doesn't matter.
and Robin.
Okay.
All right, we could do a roll call vote on that then?
Okay, roll call vote. Commissioner Golden,
Yes.
Commissioner Gerber,
Yes.
Commissioner Harmon,
Yes.
Commissioner Zaringer,
Yes.
Commissioner Chisholm. Oh, he's on mute, but I believe he said yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Chair Tosher.
Yes.
Thank you.
So that will go to City Council. Thank you for approving. The motion has been approved. And then we have a motion to approve the mural ordinance, Article 3 of the Public Art Ordinance. Sammy, you're on mute.
Unmute, Sammy.
Pardon me. I move to approve.
I'll second.
Seconded by Nigel. I'm going to do a roll call, Joe, on that.
Yes. Commissioner Golden,
Yes.
Commissioner Gerber,
Yes. Yes.
Commissioner Harmon,
Yes.
Commissioner Zaringer,
Yes.
Commissioner Chisholm,
Absolutely.
Chair Tosher.
Yes, and I hereby confer on Christine an honorary law degree.
No, I had a lot of help from Joe. We fought a lot, but he set me straight whenever I had it wrong.
We set each other straight, if I could add that. We worked on, it was a lot of conversation. I'm just speak a little out of turn, but there was a lot of conversation going back and forth as to, I would look at it and say, technically you should do something this way. And Christine would say, well, this is what we want to do. How do we get from step A to B? So she was the captain and I was the navigator, so to speak.
And we did meet with James Vega as well, so that we made sure that anything we had in there was okay with city, that city would not, that he could give us a good read on how city council might react to these things, and
Sure.
Had a few suggestions. So
and the city
it's been
attorney
a
as
long
well.
haul. It's been a long time coming. And if you think my work is over on this, it is not quite over, because now if City Council approves this, I'll have to go back in with Joe to the developer's handbook and change what it says in there, that is pertinent to these.
Which is item M on the agenda.
Yes.
Right.
But Nigel has his hand up. So before we go to that, Nigel.
I do. Joe said something very pertinent, which I think is valuable for everybody to hear again, so I shall repeat it. I think not a terrible way to go in general terms is to start off with the position of where we want to go and then ask Joe how we get there. I think we can save a lot of time and trouble by doing that for everybody because Joe knows most everything and how to do that and is by nature willing to get us to that point. So if we lean on Joe as much as possible as a group, then I think we can achieve a lot in a reasonably short period of time. That's my comment.
Thank you, Nigel. And I think
Thank you,
that
Nigel.
Joe would tell you I leaned on him a lot. All right, we're going to go to M then if everyone is ready for that. And that is a recommendation. Okay, hang on a minute here. Not for the Public Art Committee. That's what I'm looking at. I had crossed it out on my agenda. But it actually should say approve that the chair, that's yours truly, and Joe, the staff liaison, will make the updates to the developer's handbook. And the reason we're asking for you to approve that is so that we don't have to come back to you and put you through this line now says this instead of that, because it will just coordinate with the ordinance changes if city approves them. So if someone has a question about that, or if not, someone could make a motion to allow that to go forward.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any conversation? Okay. Can we do just a hands up on this
Voice
one?
vote. We can just do a
Voice
voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none opposed. Motion passes.
I think that's it. I'm so happy to turn the meeting back over to Marcy.
Well,
Exhausted.
not for very long because I'm turning it back over to you.
On what?
Because what we want to do that one item that was left off of the item O, and that's to recommend that Robin Gerber become
No,
a
that's
member.
not item O. Item O is Kappa.
Correct, but
Right, and we're appointing Robin Gerber to Kappa and
Oh,
confirming Nigel as
I'm
the
sorry.
permanent alternate to Kappa.
yes.
So move.
Second?
I second.
Sammy, okay, Linda? All right,
do-
do we need a
we can do
roll
a
call
voice.
vote on this?
No, voice vote.
Want to ask for discussion?
Aye. Questions? No.
I'm sorry.
Aye.
I believe there was some discussion. Commissioner Golden.
Well, I usually ask for discussion before you take the vote.
Chair Tasha, would you like to ask for a discussion?
Well, I just want to say that I'm really excited to have Robin join the Public Art Committee and look forward to her participation and becoming really familiar with the public art ordinance. Thank you, Robin.
Thank you.
Thank you. Rob.
Okay.
Would you like to call for a vote? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimous. Motion passes.
Okay.
Did we confirm Nigel as the alternate, Marcy?
Yes, that was included in that motion.
Okay.
Nigel, you get the floor again. You're going to give us any updates or more thoughts about the Chief Peak Music Festival.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Tosha. There's nothing to add over and above what I spoke about before. And Robin, you weren't privy to that. But Robin, do you have a copy of? There you are. A copy of this.
Can't see what that is from.
This says Chief Peaks Music Festival initial discussion document.
Was that in my notebook, Joe?
Yes, that would have been in the packet.
Okay.
All right, so it's pretty lengthy, and well, it's not that lengthy really as it goes. I've produced things much larger than that, but I think at this point, everybody on the committee should have read this. Does anybody not read it?
It's
No?
item 5P, about 2/3 of the way into the packet.
All right. So the only person who hasn't read it is Robin. So nothing's going to get decided today anyway. I just wanted to see if anybody's got any questions about it. And as I suspected, and as it was designed for, Joe is probably the only one who's got any real questions about it because it involves the city. Right. So five. What were you talking about, Joe?
5, where item 5P.
There is no P. There's just a 5. Staffing.
Well, if I may, while Joe is looking that up, I just want to say, and this is just based on history, that everything that you're talking about has to come through the Arts Commission to Joe.
Correct.
Right. Joe has this document, right?
Right. Once we establish the structure of the festival and start moving forward, there shouldn't be any staffing other than what's already budgeted by the city council. To, you know, for example, we may need to the date of the festival close off some streets or something like that. So I don't anticipate it using too much city staff, and I don't anticipate it this, from what you've described to me, requiring more policing or anything like that. Doesn't seem like it's not going to be Coachella or something like that. It's
not yet.
Not yet. At that point, once there will be income, and then that'll defer. You know, there will be, as I've seen these festivals work. Once we get to that level, we would have to have some sort of agreement, reimbursement agreements, and things like that.
Right. So we've got some significant problems now, haven't we, because of COVID and this, that, and the other, social distancing. And so in reality, while we were looking at this to start maybe next year, it may have to be the year after, as we see how this goes through society and this, that, and the other. Because the last thing you want is a festival where people are supposed to come and they can't come, or they don't feel comfortable coming. So
correct. And it does take a year to plan something like this.
It will take a full year to plan. There's no question about that. And so at this point, if we're looking for next year, I think it's already not going to happen. But that just gives us more time to get it right as we move forward. So the staffing question you asked about, I don't really foresee any staffing issues. I don't see any policing issues, because this is not going to be a festival that is central to one place. Now, if we were to have a festival in Libby Bowl or Libby Park, for example, then those things would be questions. This is a dispersed festival that is designed to help all of the local businesses and to enhance the downtown experience for the people who come to it, and also drive some trade to the local restaurants and bars.
If I can, add, it sounds like something that other cities do, and I haven't been here long enough to do, where we do a restaurant week, and you're driving people. You have a special menu for that week. You're going to have a special artists for those days at various venues, and those events typically don't take a lot of staff time.
Yeah, it's a similar type of thing, but not even close on other levels. It's the beautiful thing about this is that the restaurants or the bars or the locations in general, all they have to do is agree to do it and work under the very minor parameters that we have with regard to entrance and exit and this type of thing, and selling tickets. The main issue with regard to starting everybody is that there is going to be a financial requirement to start it, because you haven't got any ticket sales. It's as simple as that. And so there is a potential to lose money. I don't anticipate that initial cost to be more than $10,000 or $15,000, which is not chump change. That's real money. However, the upside of it should come at a later date. As you all know, I am very familiar with how to run these types of things at a profit and how to create them. The most important thing I think that we've got here in this document, and again, Robin has to have a look at it, is just the conclusion of it. And we can do this. I do understand that probably nobody else on the commission has ever had to have a party every night of the week, like I have for the last 15 years of my life. and it is a challenging experience, and you do have to be a bit of a juggler to do that. But the main issue is just if you can, the rest of the committee, and I haven't had any questions since the last meeting. So if you can have a look at it, if you've got any questions at all, please send them through Joe. Joe can redirect them to me so we all get that, and I'll respond to them. But I think if nobody's got any questions, and we'll leave it a week so Robin can have a look at this document, then what I would like at this point is your permission to move forward with the next stage so I can create a more professional presentation that we can send to the City Council. And I'll liaise with Joe about that with regard to legalities and what is required from the city on that. So that's really what I think, that's where we're at this point. Yeah, Christine.
When you say so you can present something to City Council, it's kind of it's unsettling to hear that, because any presentation you make to City Council should be made first to the Arts Commission. So anything you're going to go forward to City Council, and in particular the budget, like where you're suggesting that money comes from, I think the first stop is make the presentation to us and then to City Council.
Because okay, I absolutely agree with you. And
it's just a process kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I would just like your permission, if nobody's got any major problems with what I've produced here, to allow me to go to the next step, to show it to you, and then after that we'll go to permission for the City Council. With regard to where the money comes from, that's an interesting question. It probably wouldn't. Yeah, it probably wouldn't come from the Arts Commission budget. As a matter of fact, it would come from the City Council.
Well,
which then opens up questions about who controls the whole thing. So these are things that I can discuss with Joe and get back to you when we have answers.
Yeah. Well, you'd want to talk to Marcy, actually, about if we want to make a line item in the budget for the Arts Commission for this project. I've already looked up to see whether or not it would qualify for public art fund money, which I cross my fingers that it would qualify, but it doesn't. There's a list of what we can expend that money on. And there's just, Marcy looked at it too, and it's not there, which means that to go to the city as an arts commissioner, you need this arts commission to approve that budget that you go and ask the city for.
Right, yeah. And absolutely understood. And I'm not surprised to hear that. I hadn't looked at those things myself. But I just assumed it would be coming from the city anyway, and I'm correct in that assumption.
Yeah. And I think that's a conversation with Marcy that you have about the budget, because she's in charge of the budget.
Yeah, we can do that. And,
for next year.
Yeah, and obviously I don't think we're looking at this for next year now. The document says 2021. I don't see it happening before 2022 at this point, which actually gives us a fantastic opportunity to get everybody on board with this and move forward. And then by that time, the city budget may be a little bit more under control and a known situation that they can add that to our budget if we want to be in control of the situation, or if they just want to do it as a separate item under our purview, for example. Joe, does that make sense to you?
Absolutely. We're getting the framework together, and we can do this incrementally. Get the framework together, get that approved by the Arts Commission, and then over time work on a budget, get that budget approved by the Arts Commission, get it put into our draft budget, and then take that to the City Council for the it would be the 21-22 fiscal year.
Yeah, and I would add, going back to you were talking about the restaurant week before, this town, and having been in that industry for so long, it is notoriously difficult to get all of the restaurant and bar owners on the same page. And there's many reasons for that, which I won't go into right now. But from this perch, from the Arts Commission, it is a lot easier to get everybody on board than it is as a business owner, or it was as a business owner, as it turns out. And so I'm excited to be able to move this forward for the city and to be able to help all of our restaurants and bars in town as well, because they're going to need it. Just so that you guys know, and you may not, when there's a disaster, it typically takes businesses up to 3 years to recover from that disaster. We just had the Thomas Fire a couple of years ago. We still have businesses in town that may go under because of the Thomas Fire, not because of COVID-19. Mm-hmm. So we're looking here at a very long-term situation with our downtown businesses, and they need a lot of support from our local community and our city government, Joe, to move through the next 5 years. It's an absolute nightmare. Don't think that because the restaurant's going to be open in a couple of months, that they are through it. They're not. This has long-term consequences. And we're already seeing downtown, I don't know if you guys are familiar, but there's probably going to be up to half a dozen storefronts open downtown because not just of COVID, but because of the Thomas Fire situation. So we need to be looking forward and pushing things that are proactive to bring people into town when it's appropriate and when it's safe to really help our local business and restaurant community in general terms.
I think we all agree with that. Can I just ask you, Nigel, one thing? If I don't know where that document, I'm sure I don't have that document. So if I could get it, I would appreciate
We'll resend it.
Whoever. Secondly, are you familiar with Tierra Soul, Nigel? The Tierra Soul Festival that was held, the music festival that was held last year. It was at the Girl Scout camp, but it was an overnight thing for a couple of nights.
I'm not. There are loads of music festivals in town, in general.
Right. Well, this was Chris Wallen did it, and it was a fully green festival and 100% green festival. And I would just encourage you to think about that as you do your planning. About
I love that. And sorry, I cut you off there. It's difficult with Zoom, isn't it? But to be perfectly honest with you, I hadn't thought about that. Now you put it in my mind. That's the only thing I want to do. So I think that is fabulous. It's just another way to move us forward as a community.
I could connect you to Chris Wallen. Do you know Chris Wallen? He does green drinks at Topa Brewery.
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Yeah. So Chris would be the guy to talk to and give you some ideas about that.
Yeah. Thanks for that kick. And that's a great reminder of where we need to be moving as a community and as an arts commissioner as well. So thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm done with that. If anybody's going, so I guess what I'm asking for here is we're going to get that. Robin, I think it was probably in the long package that Joe sent you that's got 45 pages in it, and I think it's toward the end of it.
It's right after the mural ordinance stuff.
If I can interject, I just sent Robin a clean copy of just the music festival document, so you can go straight to it.
Okay.
And one other thing I just wanted to drop a little bug in everyone's ear is that next year we're talking about long-term planning. Next year is the 100th anniversary of the city's incorporation. So there will probably be opportunities, and we're having minor initial level discussions, no decision making or anything about next year's Ojai Day, as this year's Ojai Day is probably going to be very subtle. Next year, hopefully things will be opened up and it'll be our 100th anniversary. And so maybe we can start kind of thinking all of this globally with the music festival and the public art and the paint box and all these things.
I think that's a fantastic ad, Joe. Thanks very much. And Robin, when you look at this, I produced this probably 4 months ago, maybe 5 months ago. And it just kind of sat there for a little while. So I haven't actually read over it myself in quite a while. And so you've got nice fresh eyes with everything that's been going on here. So if you see anything that stands out to you, let me know. But over and above that, I would just like your permission to move forward with something a little bit more detailed. And we can go from there. Do I have your permission?
Raise of hands to authorize Nigel to keep moving forward. Yeah.
Yeah, that's satisfactory by acclamation.
All right, good enough. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nigel.
Thank you, Nigel. I wanted to talk about our August meeting. We usually don't have a meeting in August. I don't know if anyone has plans to go anywhere, but something that we desperately needed, and we keep talking about it. And since we have new people, and since I don't know how much longer we'll have the benefit of Christine's vast public art knowledge, I'd like to do a quick meeting, maybe an hour, where Christine gives a little mini course, workshop on public art in Ojai and the public art ordinance, so that all of us are familiar with how public art works in Ojai. And if you've had a chance, I would encourage you in the interim to go on the website and take Christine's fantastic virtual public art tour, which is great. But anyway, so I wanted to kind of toss that out there. Christine?
Yeah, and I promise that if you all agree to this, I'll make it fun because it'll be a slideshow and not just looking at my face talking at you. And it'll just actually I'd like to use the public art in the city to illustrate various parts of the ordinance, which would make it a whole lot more interesting. If you see a piece of art and then I tell you what the issue was and how the ordinance interacts with that. But I also have asked Marcy this, and she's completely ignored me, that this not just be a meeting where it's about public art, but I would like for every chair of every committee to take 2 or 3 minutes and talk a little bit about what that job description is that they do, because I think that also with new people, we don't know what those chairs do and what the people on those committees do. So I don't know. I don't want it just to be the Christine show. I'd like everyone to be participating in some way.
I think we could add that. Nigel?
Yeah, I just think this needs to be done face to face. Joe, I think we're going to be off this Zoom situation in a reasonably close period of time. As we know, Gavin Newsom has just told us that we all have to wear face masks in public, which is fine.
Salons are open. Salons will be open, so I don't know why we can't have a.
This would be August. This would be
a meeting in August in out on the back patio or something like that. I'm sure we could do it. We could figure this out.
Yeah. So my request would be at this point, I'm free in August. That may change because, as you know, I do travel a lot, and now I've got to fit a year's worth of travel into 6 months. But that's my problem. I don't know that it would need to be at the same scheduled week for everybody. If we're going to do that, we should book a time as soon as possible, I think. And I would like to do it face to face because I think this is something that demands a face to face meeting.
Yeah, as long as there's a screen that can be used, because I really want to incorporate slides and photos to illustrate the points. And unless
we walk around.
And no, that wouldn't work. It's got to be the other. And I would think not an hour. It's not going to take me an hour, which is another reason why I think it would be a wonderful time to do just like a little orientation on all the committees. I anticipate with questions, tops 40 minutes, 20 to 25 for the presentation, tops, and then questions.
Yeah, I think I don't see that. I was going the opposite direction. I was budgeting 3 hours.
Sounds good, Christine. Thank you, Christine. Sounds good. And I think it could go either way. I don't really see a problem with having it on Zoom either. Then we could see your slides easier, actually. So,
yeah, I think the most important thing would be narrowed down to a particular date in August. And I think if everyone can, at some point before the next meeting, look at your August calendar and next meeting, come up with a date or two.
Marcy, why don't you put out a date and see who can make it? Like put out the 3rd week of August and see who can make it.
All right.
That's the answer.
Linda? Linda.
Can you just make it our normal time?
On a Thursday at 5 o'clock?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, right. Okay, so the 3rd week in August.
Yeah.
Which is
so we can get a confirmation of that from everybody on email to Marcy, right? Is that what we're doing?
It looks like the 20th.
I'm looking up the exact date in August, which would be August 20th. August 20th, Thursday. Mm-hmm. Nigel?
Yeah, so for me, as it stands right now, that's fine. I don't have any travel booked in August. However, I can see that changing, but I'll make this commitment if Christine is okay with this too. Because if I can't make this meeting, then I will sit with Christine privately and we'll go through the same thing. Good. Does that work for everybody?
Yeah, I'm good with the 20th.
That will work for me as long as you are true to saying you have a lot of wine.
I have so much wine.
We can do that.
All righty, the thumbs up if you agree, if everyone agrees to this August 20th. Okay, great. Put it in your calendars.
Now, and are we going to do committees as well?
Yes, we will do committees as well. So if you're, whatever committee you're chair of, just, prepare a 2-minute spiel about what the committee does and
What you working on?
what are you working on and things like that.
Great.
That's it. Last thing, we've got future agenda items. Does anyone have any ideas about what they might want to talk about or we need to talk about next month?
I think you want to talk about getting new members on the commission. Marcy, was that?
Right. Nigel wanted to, but he wanted to talk tonight about that,
Well,
right,
let's not
Nigel?
do it.
This would be the appropriate time to discuss it.
Yeah, now we can talk about it.
Mhm.
Nigel?
All right, it's just waiting to be called.
Yeah.
So Smitty West has had the handbook. I've spoken with him at length today about requirements. I've fielded questions from him with regard to it. He is very willing and able to serve on this committee or to be considered to serve on this committee. Obviously, he will have questions of whoever interviews him also. But he's a fabulous guy. With regards to the art and the tour and the brochure that Christine developed, he's really excited about that. And he was talking about maybe being able to do an app and use his studio and his voice to be able to guide people through town without somebody physically being there. And he would like to drive that project to enhance what Christine's already done.
Oh, that's fabulous.
Yeah, I don't know if you know about Smitty. Most of you probably know him as a musician. He's actually a scientist, and he just happens to be a decent musician as well. So we don't have to have an empty chair. I know it's difficult to fill these chairs. It seems to be more difficult to keep people in them. But when Smitty, some personal experience with Smitty, when he commits to something, he commits. He's also got a very scientific mind. So it occurred to me that with regard to Kappa, and I've sent, if you know me, you'll know this about me, because I'm a big picture guy. I'm not particularly a detail guy. So while I can do Kappa, it's not great for me, just on a general level. But it's just built for somebody like Smitty, who is detail-oriented. And he does yearn and desire to know the detail of everything and how everything works. So he is there, he's available, he would like to sit on this committee if he is invited to do so. And I'd like to try and move forward with getting ourselves a full committee.
He can get an application. He has to go through the process, so he'll need to fill out the application and he can get that. How can he get that, Joe?
Joe's going to say
that's exactly what I was going to point out, that anyone who wants to apply for the Arts Commission can contact me. I can help. I can get them the application, and then it does have to go to the City Council for approval ratification. The City Council appoints Kappa or Arts Commission members, but typically with well recommended members.
Well, there's another step in there, step or two. We have to advertise for this position, and I believe
Right.
it's going to go into Gail Davis, the city clerk's putting an ad in the OVN. It'll come out next week, I think. So we have to do that. That's just part of the protocol. And then we gather all the applications, and then there's an interview process with Mayor Johnny. And then it's actually up to him to make the pick, to make the recommendation to the full city council. So I wish we had more of a say in it, but.
No, we don't need to. We need to move forward with it. And Joe, could you send me that application so I can forward it to Smitty, please?
Sure.
Thanks. And yeah, so that's it. That obviously has to be an appropriate process, an
Right.
open process. Everybody has to have an equal opportunity
Exactly.
to take a seat. And so I think that's wholly wise and appropriate. But let's get that application in Smitty's
Yeah, get it rolling, get the application in, yep.
Yeah, so Joe, if you can send that to me, I'll forward it to Smitty, and then if he's still of right mind tomorrow morning, then we'll get that back to you at the earliest opportunity, and you can consider it with everybody else.
Smitty is a great guy and could be great. I would just say that we should also all be thinking about other possibilities, particularly younger people like Sammy.
Thank you for
so-
saying that.
What's wrong with me?
Let's,
Just the same age as me.
let's keep our minds open. Also. Just
Younger than me?
other possibilities. Yeah.
And we can't have preferential treatment based on age.
Right.
Ageism.
Right.
Yeah.
No, but
Okay, well, good. So that Smitty will fill out the application, submit it. We'll have to have that posting, see what happens. Maybe no one will respond, and then we'll just move forward from there.
Yep. Okay. So that's all I've got.
Oh, I'm sorry. I also think it's really important, Sammy puts out a notice once city is published, that Sammy puts something out on Facebook and other places that there's a vacancy on the Arts Commission. That way you'll get a lot of applications in.
Yeah.
That's a
It's
good
much
idea.
fun. And I understand city holds applications. They don't discard them. So you might already
Right.
have
They
applications.
remain on file. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I think we've talked about that enough. And then,
Linda has her hand up.
oh, Linda, sorry. Linda.
I just wanted to, am I on mute still or can you hear me?
No, we can hear you.
You can hear me. You spoke with me about that. We were talking about different people we could get on board, and I did have an email exchange with David Reesner. I don't know how many of you know him. He's an Ojai studio artist. He's been in town a long time, and he's a very nice man, very professional. He is a website guy, and that's what he does for a living. He builds website and advertising. And he did express some interest, but I haven't heard again from him. So I'm kind of waiting to see if he reaches out. So I just wanted to mention that.
Linda, if he does reach out, make sure he understands that if he comes on board and does our website, that he doesn't get paid.
Yeah, no one.
Oh, I know.
We
It's a volunteer.
never take any money for anything we do. We can receive no profit.
Right. No, I know that. And he knows that.
I would like to point out, just for the commission's convenience, I'll send it out, but on the city's website, not on the Arts Commission website, but on the city's website, there's a link to the Arts Commission. And on that page, the application can be found. So you can
On the city website.
on the city website, yes. And I'm sending the link out right now.
Okay.
Sammy, you'll want to put that in your announcement.
Just making a note. Yeah.
I think Marcy, didn't you write a letter to the OVN as well?
I did. I don't know if they're going to run with it, but I wrote a letter to the OVN.
If I may, Robin's point of younger members, something close to my heart. It's really well taken, and I've been pondering on that over the last few days myself as well. And I think it's something we should really try and focus on, also to broaden. I like the arts. I'm not an artist, you know. Sammy's a fabulous writer. She's not an artist either. I don't know about the rest of you. Robin's a writer.
That's why it's Arts with an S Commission, because writing.
Sure.
All
Beg
of
to
that
differ, Nigel.
Sure.
Tammy and I are artists.
That's
Yeah,
right.
true.
We're creatives, as they like to say out here.
Yeah, there's degrees, right? So I could claim to be an artist too. I just don't consider myself to be that. However, there are people in town, both younger and older. Thank you. There's people older and younger who really should be having a say in what's going on in this environment, and age shouldn't be a factor, young or old. But if you look around the commission, I think we can definitely agree that we're a little bit low on younger people.
Yeah, can you tell?
But as I understand it, there should be 7 of us. There's 5 of us, so there's room. And Christine is unfortunately going to be leaving in October, So we really need to be looking for 3 people. It's a great opportunity to.
I have made no
to reinvigorate.
commitment to leave in October.
Good, because I'd like to go on record and say I don't want you to.
Thank you, Nigel.
Right, but nonetheless, the 2 people, we should look very closely at these types of things as how, because art is perceived differently from different generations. And I think that is a very important perspective to look at.
The problem, the one thing, the reality of it is that usually younger people are busy earning livings, and we're kind of like, we're composed like a jury would be. A lot of us are retired, and we have more time. So
to that, I understand the point, but the commitment level is not that massive. And if somebody's interested in their town enough, it's not a question of age.
Depends what committee you're on.
Well, anyway, we're not going to discuss that here, and it's 7:05. We've been on for over 2 hours, so it seems to me it would be individual as we go.
We're not done with all the agenda items.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's move it along then.
Mercy.
Yeah, Joe.
Okay, so I mistakenly put the Public Art Fund in a separate section. So if you'll go to your agenda, it is, I believe I put it under 5.
It's number 6, Joe.
5I. It is normally number 6, but in your packet paperwork, it's somewhere in the middle, and it's labeled. It is labeled number 6. Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm talking the wrong memo. The public art update. First, I'm going to do the public art update, which is labeled 5I. About halfway in your packet.
Yeah, that I should have been under Joe's reports.
Under my reports, yes, instead of under public art.
It's the document that looks like this.
It's a memo. It's a memo from with my name at the top.
It's toward the beginning of the packet.
Yeah, and I guess just briefly, Christine and I have been working on filling in some gaps on here. The main thing to note, though, is the of public art projects, the tank and pump replacement at Shell Station, $625,000 valuation with a public art valuation of $12,500 was approved today. So good work. That helps, and that is a lovely project. And we don't have anything down the line, but we typically get some later throughout the year as some of these projects do bigger. Some of these developers do bigger projects.
Well, do you have any word on the one that is listed as self-storage over at Bryan Street?
No word on that. No word on that. None at all. They have not moved forward on that.
Yeah. I just really want to say that I have tortured Joe to no end to make the Public Art Fund, which is a different report than
the next item,
than the Arts Commission budget. And what we now have is so clear and so understandable. I just want to give a shout out to Joe for making that happen. Thank you, Joe.
Thanks. We're a team.
Yep.
And if there's no questions, I'll move on to the next item. Okay, and this is, I think I see a mojito there or something. Or just ice water. The last item is item 6 under the Public Art Fund. What Christina and I have worked closely on making this a little more legible document, and it's color coded, and those color coded items are the ones that kind of stay together, and they're reflected in the next part of the report. As you can see, there is almost $100,000 in that fund right now. Some of it is earmarked. So unless there's any questions on that as well, Okay, thumbs up. Great. Great.
The only thing I have to say is I've got 5% left on my battery. So
Oh, okay. Okay.
how many are we? How
I think
close
we're
are
at
we?
the end of the agenda.
Yeah. I think Robin's got 5% left on her patience as well.
Okay, if there aren't any questions about that, we've reached the end of the agenda and
No, you have not. You've got 7, 8, and 9.
what?
It's the
Commissioner
third
comments.
page of the agenda.
Oh, well, for commissioner comments, could I just add, I'd just love to officially welcome Robin on board, and looking forward to working with you. I think it's going to be great.
Commissioner comments. Okay, comment, Robin? Any comments? Linda, comments?
Just welcome on board, Robin. I'm all with you on shortening the meeting.
Nigel?
Yeah, well, welcome in, Robin. I think you're a fantastic addition. I really appreciate what you've added tonight, so thank you very much.
I think that's it.
No, you didn't call on me.
What more could you possibly say?
Well, this is what I could more possibly say, besides also welcome Robin. And that is for the public to announce that we're going to have a sign on the marquee, apparently, that announces the public art virtual tours. So that's fabulous. And every time Sammy reposts the virtual tours, that's fabulous on Facebook. And if you haven't done it, I want you to know how impressed I was, because Robin Gerber, we had a little public art committee meeting just to meet her, Marcy, myself, and Robin. We didn't really discuss public art business much, but just to meet her. And one of the things she said to me was, I took the virtual public art tours. I said, all of them? And she said, yes. So thank you, Robin, for doing that. And how about the rest of you?
I've done it too.
Thank you. Now we get the public to do it. Great, that's it.
Okay. Do we have a city council liaison report, Joe?
There is no liaison report, but I would like to add, I do know that these last few agendas have been very, very heavy with a couple items, the mural ordinance, the Kappa items. And I think as we get some of these things settled, it'll be much more efficient.
It'll be lighter next month, definitely lighter next month.
I've heard that before.
Well, unless something happens between, I don't know, the next few weeks, it's going to be light.
This was not a long meeting.
2 hours.
Well, I'm the historian here. We used to go for 3 hours. So
Moving right along here, Marcy. Thank
go
you.
from 7 to 10.
All right, and everyone, thank you very much. And I think we accomplished a lot tonight. And everyone have a wonderful rest of your evening. And with that, I adjourn.